Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? It's Saturday, baby. We made it. We made it. It's the weekend. We did it. Congratulations, everybody. You made it. We did it. Fantastic. What's up, guys? Hope your weekend is going well. We're gonna do day 2 of Scorn. I don't actually. I mean, I took like the last hour of the stream yesterday just to play a little bit of Shatterline, and I took a moment to look up what average playtime was for Scorn so far for anybody that had finished it, and apparently we are not very far away from finishing that game. Which, if that's actually the case, feels bad. That feels bad, I think. At least it does to me, anyways. For as much anticipation came from that game and what I've experienced from the game so far, I really was hoping that we were just kind of getting into the mix. The game feels like it was starting to ramp up a little bit as far as the action goes and everything. And even though the environment, art style and stuff, I'll say the art style is neat. For a horror experience themed game, yo gamer, what's up, buddy? How are you, man? No work today, right? No work today. No work. The art style is cool, but it's not freaky, you know. As far as like what necessarily, if you're looking for a horror experience, I haven't experienced anything necessarily like creepy. Leaving in an hour, bro. Okay, I understand it, dude. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get this news in here, man, before you take off, or most of it, anyways. It's good to see you, buddy. So, I don't know. I'll give my thorough assessment of it all. Once we finish the game, we get the credits and everything. But at the same time, if we've only got a little bit of the game left to complete, we're talking probably around 5 to 6 hours of gameplay for a $35 game. And that's pretty severely disappointing. So on that note, as we do, before we can work our way into this video game gameplay stuff, let's go ahead and get into our gaming news. Yeah, video gaming news. Let's go. Let's get in it. That's not right. But we were listening to a little bit of BPM, bullets per minute, this morning. If you're not familiar with that game or that soundtrack, both excellent experiences. So highly recommend checking that game and the soundtrack out. Okay. Yo, it's rando mode time already, by the way. Get them in there. That's wrong. That's wrong. There we go. Random mode time. Let's go, guys. And that's wrong. Yo, I'm fat clicking everywhere this morning. Okay. Cool. Let's do this. Yeah, again, I'll just hit on this real quick instead of pulling this article up. We talked about this yesterday, but we've got some new free games on Epic, right? If you're not aware, you can get Darkwood, which is a very nice top-down, story-rich exploration strategy, not kind of strategy. Type of game. Very, very dark, very spooky kind of game, and it's been very, very well reviewed since it came out in, I think, 2017. So it's free right now on Epic. So is Toe Jam and Earl. And then next week we get Evo Land Legendary Edition and Fallout 3. Our community member Pinky actually said that Evo Land is a pretty cool experience. And we took a look at it yesterday, just a quick look, or I did. And it looks pretty neat. It looks pretty. It's this whole experience of, I think, going from like a, like the game starts off in more of an old school kind of, it looks very old school Pokemon. You know what I mean? As you progress, the game evolves into more of a modern 3D kind of world. From like a 2D kind of graphical experience into more of a 3D world as you move forward and play the game, and obviously you can see some of the old school Kefka Phantom. That's actually funny. I didn't notice that before. So this could be a cool experience for us to try out in stream even. So or in the channel. So we'll see. We might get there. But don't forget to go get your free games on Epic. That's the big takeaway here, okay? Free games on Epic. Darkwood, Toe Jam Earl right now, and then Fallout 3 and Evo Land next week, all right? Take-Two is shutting down major gaming studio. It's going to cost 65 people their jobs. Feels bad. We're seeing a lot of layoffs from hardware developers and manufacturers all the way through software, in tech. Gotham Knights confirms bad news for console players. Ooh, let's take a look at that. PlayStation still drops one of 2022's best games to lowest price so far, I think is what that's going to be. We'll take a look. Dead Space has shown off some extended gameplay and new features. That would be the Dead Space remake that is coming, yeah. So let's take a quick peek there. Looks like Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to get their final update going on those titles. So we'll see what that is going to include. Psychonauts 2 The Motherlobe Edition releases today. There's no Disco Elysium 2 without its original writers. That is the big concern, right? We're talking about what we've seen here over the past week and a half. Some pretty big news come out of the developer ZAUM in regard to what I think a lot of people didn't really know, that a large part of the core of what this development studio was, and especially in who was part of the creation of the studio and the creation of Disco Elysium 1, are no longer a part of that studio. Kind of involuntarily, apparently. And I think that there is now a lot of hesitation about what Disco Elysium 2 will actually bring to the table. And gamer. I'm sorry, dude. And rightfully so. If the main people involved in that game in the first place are no longer going to be involved in the series moving forward, I think that there is. I for one absolutely will not be diving into the second iteration of that series whenever it comes out, because the core of what was there for creating such an amazing title apparently is not going to be there anymore. It doesn't mean the game won't be good. Doesn't mean they won't have quality people working on the title, but it does probably mean that it won't be the same experience we got from the first one, right? Which I am planning on playing very soon, Disco Elysium 1, actually. So I can't wait for it, as a matter of fact. Let's pivot here. Valve has registered the trademark Neon Prime for use in game software. Let's see what that's about. Oh, hey, most terrifying gaming moments without monsters. They've actually got the scene from Dead Space 2 where you have to poke the needle in Isaac's eye. That was really wild. Apparently, that's a difficult thing to get done there, and I don't know. I nailed it on the first try, but from what I understand, people were saying that that's actually a fairly difficult mechanic to get through quite often in that game. So I probably got lucky right there. I mean, I'm really good at games, and that's why. Oh, that sucks, dude. That sucks, man. Weird. That's weird. Huh. Okay, Overwatch 2 has announced the rewards for the launch issues, I think. Let's take a look at that. We already knew that they were going to be giving away like a legendary skin or whatever, but they might have some specifics in there. And for our friendos in the community that are playing Overwatch 2, that might be some additional news on exactly what you're going to receive, okay? League of Legends reveals Cassante cinematic trailer. Take a look at that for our League of Legends fans. Yeah, we already read about this. I'm not going to dive into this. Yeah. So, alongside the news that Wizards of the Coast have opened up another software development studio, they're making another Dungeons and Dragons game. They have not done real great with their titles as of recent history, so we'll see what happens. Dark Alliance was not very good. I didn't play it, but everything I know about the game was that it was pretty not great. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We can hope, right? We can hope. We already talked about that. I'm not going to dive into that either. We've talked a lot about Stadia shutting down. TLDR. If you are not familiar, Stadia is shutting down on, I think, specifically the 18th of January. That service will no longer be available. And for anybody that has bought into that service, they are getting refunds from Google. Along with the fact that Google is trying to work alongside some of these games and the developers of the games that were on their platform that are on other platforms as well, to try to find ways for people to move their save files over to different platforms, whether it be GOG or Steam or what have you, to try and ensure that they're not going to lose the progress they have in their saves in those games. Stick with that. We'll stick with that today. Take-Two is going to shut down a major gaming studio in a surprise move, and it will cost 65 jobs. Looks like they're planning to shut down the New York-based studio behind the popular mobile game Dots. The closure will eliminate 65 jobs. Best known for its Grand Theft Auto franchise, Take-Two acquired PlayDots for $192 million in 2020. PlayDots developed 4 mobile games, including Dots, which users played more than 25 million times within the first months of its release. Its sequel, 2 Dots, has been downloaded over 50 million times in the Google Play Store. Take-Two acquired mobile game maker Zynga in May in a deal that valued at $11 billion. 2 Dots' operation will continue at another Zynga studio. PlayDots employees will get the opportunity to apply for other jobs at Zynga, and those who do not find new roles will be eligible to receive severance. Um, let's hope most of those, or let's hope those individuals find a quick way forward for employment, and it doesn't, this shutdown doesn't negatively affect those people and their lives. Gotham Knights confirms bad news for console players. Gotham Knights is drumming up some controversy amongst fans as it nears launch week, particularly with regards to the game's performance. FPS is one of the most vital things in a game or any other kind of video. While most movies tend to be displayed in 24 FPS, games tend to range from 30 to 60, with some games offering higher FPS ranges depending on the hardware and settings of the game. Yeah. I would say 30 FPS a few generations ago was the norm. Nowadays, 60 FPS is the norm for most games in the industry to be developed around and to be played at. But quite often, especially if you're in the realm of like PC gaming and stuff like that, you've got monitors do it with much higher refresh rates. We're talking 120 frames, 144 frames per second, up to, well above that even. And as long as your graphics card is good enough to handle the graphics load of the game you're playing, as well as push that refresh rate, it's just a much smoother experience usually. And especially when you're playing competitive online games, the faster your frame refresh is, the frames per second is coming in, the more advantage it gives you, because the quicker you're seeing things kind of flow through the output to your vision than maybe some other people that would be playing at lower frames, right? If you have a low FPS, the game will appear to stutter, feel less smooth, and won't convey the images in a particularly satisfying way. While 30 FPS is still common, many are often willing to sacrifice the resolution for a higher FPS in order to have a silky smooth gameplay experience, especially in the games with lots of action such as shooters. Yeah. This is still more appropriate in the world of consoles, but you get into PC gaming, and this is not quite the case anymore. Consoles will still vary widely between a 30 to 60 frames, depending on the game and what console you're on, things like that. PC, not quite as much. PC, it's much more. Most things are at a 60 frames common, unless you push above it. Rumors began circulating earlier today that Gotham Knights is locked at 30 frames per second on consoles, meaning you won't be able to get a higher frame or a higher FPS. Giving many games still have 30 FPS. It's not the end of the world, but it's a limiting factor and makes the game less easy on the eyes for some players. Gotham Knights developer Fleur Martyr confirmed in an official Discord channel for the game will indeed be limited to 30 FPS on consoles with no option to change this. They noted that due to the massive nature of the game, it wouldn't be easy as dropping the resolution down to get a better FPS. You can view the official statement below. I know many of you are wondering about the availability of a performance mode for Gotham Knights on consoles, said Martin, due to the types of features we have in our game, like providing a fully untethered co-op experience in our highly detailed open world. It's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance quality toggle option and will run at 30 FPS on consoles. The backlash has already been pretty intense. Given the reasoning, it doesn't sound like the pushback will result in any changes to the FPS, especially not before launch. Perhaps a post-launch patch will be able to offer more options, but sounds pretty unlikely right now. This also may offer some clarity as to why Gotham Knights was canceled for Xbox One and PS4. Yeah. Oh, hey, right on, gamer. Yo, you know what? I did not have, what did I just grab? I didn't have Metro Exodus, dude. I didn't have Metro Exodus. I had the other two Metro games, and they were all on sale here recently on Steam, so I went ahead and grabbed Exodus as well. Yep. So now I've got all the Metro games, man, and we're going to have to play through all of them at some point in the near future. I need to very bad. I've wanted to for a long time. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Well, I was wondering for a while why they decided to, because they started this entire development process announcing that this game was going to come out on the older consoles, the previous consoles, anyways. And then all of a sudden they were like, nope, not happening anymore. And now you can't even go above 30 FPS on new consoles. Weird. Well, that's a thing. PlayStation Sale drops one of 2022's best games to lowest price yet. PlayStation is running an essential pick sale right now, which for the most part includes a lot of big names and franchises that people would expect to see. Assassin's Creed, Madden, WWE, and first-party games like Marvel, Spider-Man are a few examples of games on sale. One of them that's returned to the PlayStation discount bin once more that just happens to be one of the best games to grace the PS4 and PS5 this year. Stray. Yeah. What do they have it at? Drop down to $24 for Stray right now. And this game is not very old, but widely regarded as a very, very cool experience. And I'm going to be honest. Stray is right there along with Scorn as a couple of titles that I had really, really paid close attention to through the development process up until their release. And unfortunately, I was whenever Stray released, I was caught up in another playthrough. I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but it was some kind of playthrough that was extensive, and I didn't want to break the playthrough to play Stray. And I wish, I'm at this point, the way I kind of feel is like, with what I now know about Scorn and the fact that we're probably going to finish this game really quick today, and I'm going to be a little bit underwhelmed by Scorn. I probably would have been better off flipping the script there and playing Stray on release and not Scorn. But again, I'll give my assessment of Scorn once we finish it today. But I need to go play Stray still. But hey, there's a sale on it right there if you're interested. 25 for definitive edition of Exodus. Is that what you're talking about, man? Oh, that sucks, gamer. Yeah, that previous right there with the sleeping dogs stuff. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, for sleeping dogs. Okay. Okay. See, dude. Yeah. I need to play the Yakuza games. Is what I need to play. I want to play the Yakuza games too. Black Book is supposed to be a really cool card game, actually. Our buddy Pinky was telling us about. There's Stray. Stray's on sale on Steam as well, guys. It's not just PS Store. Stray apparently is on sale on Steam. Also, I thought I had seen this. That's one of the reasons I want to pop over to Steam. I thought I saw this morning. Yeah, on sale through the 20th for $24 as well for Stray. So, very cool. Very cool. No Man's Sky, Outer Worlds. Neat. Okay. Keep moving. Dead Space shows off extended gameplay, new features, and more. That sucks that it's crashing on you, man. October is the perfect month for fans to get more spooky details on the upcoming Dead Space remake launching January 27th of this coming year. Today, we were treated to a new trailer showing some extended gameplay. Additionally, a blog post went live containing tons of details on enhancement features, gameplay segments, and much more. Check out the 8-minute gameplay video below and then read all the info from today's blog post. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Philippe Ducharme, senior producer on Dead Space. Today, I'm here to give you a first look at one of my favorite sections in the game. So we find ourselves here in the Ishimura's hangar at the beginning of Chapter 3. We're going to make our way towards the control room in engineering, where we'll attempt to restart the ship's engine. For those of you who remember the original, the hangar was much smaller than it is now. We get to explore this location and literally fly through it before heading to our destination. Navigating between chapters without load screens or having a camera cutaway is part of how we've reimagined the Ishimura for the remake. We don't need to rely on the tram as the sole way to get between chapters. It is now a seamless,
our buddy Tinwin had brought that kind of information to us when that released. Even though we hadn't seen any actual footage of that, doing away with that mechanic, we had a good discussion about it and everything. So shout out to Tinwin.
We've got two lurkers here. You can
Those are
quickly
not
get rid of
lurkers.
them with the
Those are
pulse rifle
bebes.
or Isaac's trusty plasma cutter. There aren't many traditional firearms on board. To survive, you may have to improvise and choose how to take each necromorph down. We're now entering the ship. We have a lot to show you, so let's skip ahead to Chapter 3. We've just received a briefing to head over to the refueling station.
It looks good. It looks good. I mean, look, man.
To get there, we're passing through the machine shop over here.
I'll talk about it after the video's over.
If you needed to backtrack or simply wanted to explore the ship further, you may encounter a completely different experience. Different enemies, the ambience and lighting may change. This is what we call the intensity director. It keeps the issue more unpredictable and brings some additional tension and challenge.
That's cool. It's more like procedurally generated.
The way to the refueling station is just a little further ahead.
As far as not the levels, but the randomness of enemies and things like that.
As you can see, some memorable moments are authentic to the original. We've added tons of graphical enhancement that support strategic dismemberment. Using kinesis, we'll bring that gondola over and make our way to the south refueling station. We need to gain access to the fuel management office, which contains the power functions for the refueling station. We can follow that cable to find our way there. One of the things we tried to achieve was to add more context to the various objectives, to expand on what was there, and bring a bit more detail and depth where we could.
Grab that spike. That's one of the things that I want to know. How's the telekinesis? Is the telekinesis going to feel better in this one than it did in Dead Space 1?
The refueling station has no power. We can look for a way to access the fuel management office.
Original Dead Space, the telekinesis did not feel great.
This card should allow us in, and we can now make our way back.
Isaac. Hammond.
Daniels? You made it.
Thank God. After the bridge, we thought...
Glad to disappoint. I barricaded myself in the computer core. I can hear them, but I don't think they know I'm here. Isaac, I tracked down your rig. You're an engineer, right? I'll get myself admin privileges. Maybe I can help.
Now that we have access to this room, we're faced with a very tough choice. We could cut power to life support and rely on air canisters for oxygen, but today we'll play the section without lights instead.
That's cool. So there are some pretty significant changes. Okay, let's go. Let's see this telekinesis, man. Yeah, cool. Okay. That looked pretty nice, pretty satisfying.
With the power restored, the south refueling station can now be activated.
Decontamination sequence activated. Please stand by.
In the decontamination room, using new tech, we've cranked up the tension.
Oh, the decontamination room, dude. No. Give me that force gun, bro.
Dynamic smoke creates that thick and opaque atmosphere that makes you lose track of the lurkers, even when they're right next to you. It adds to the claustrophobia, the feeling of being locked in with a pack of necromorphs.
I like how if you were playing this on Impossible, you would have been wrecked. And that
Our last
first
stop
enemy,
is the
dude,
centrifuge.
you'd
It's
have been
offline,
dead,
and the
probably.
Ishimura is getting dragged down to the planet below.
Please attach generator modules manually.
We've added so much detail in here. Particle effects, lighting, floating debris. We wanted this room to be imposing and tell a story at the same time. It's a lot more impressive, and its size makes it harder to keep track of the incoming necromorphs. So all you play
What's up, buddy?
With one of the generator modules back in place, we can head to the second one. Flying in zero-G and not being anchored to the surface makes spatial awareness
look how
extremely important.
this room was
Combat
very,
encounters
very
can quickly
bright.
become deadly, especially with leapers.
It looks much better now, in my opinion.
And now, with the generator modules powered up, the centrifuge is ready to be activated.
Generator module attached. Clutch
What's up, dude?
engaged. All personnel clear for centrifuge
Happy Saturday, man.
restart.
I hope you enjoyed this sneak peek at the new Dead Space. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, yeah, it looks pretty good, man. And there's some significant changes. Yeah, you can see they've got just some of the stuff they talked about from removing the train, which was your transition from chapter to chapter in Dead Space 1, but it was also like their loading point, right? Graphics are incredible. Yeah, I mean, it looks so much more detailed. Which, I mean, look, this is what I said all along. For a game that was made back in 2008, or released in 2008, excuse me, it was released in 2008. It holds up, you know. For playing a game that's 14 years old, dude. I am not gonna knock Dead Space 1. You know what I mean? But that's where we talk about so often the difference between a game that is 14 years old and what you can do to improve it significantly, even if it still is something like BioShock, which also is a game that holds up from 2007, or Dead Space from 2008. And they hold up, and they were very well developed in the first place, and they were developed to last. That doesn't mean that a remake won't significantly improve those games, 14 to 15 years down the line, right? As opposed to something like Horizon that is 4 to 5 years old, and they're like, oh, we need to remaster this thing, which just doesn't make a lot of sense. Is it going to look a little bit better? Probably. Yeah. Is it needed? Absolutely not. So that's why like PlayStation's getting so much flack right now for doing that kind of stuff over and over. Whereas, these kinds of titles absolutely deserve it. And it does. It looks really, really good. It does. I mean, and they've done it's going to be a different experience. From, if you didn't catch that entire video, we're talking about the train system's gone. So no more transition from chapter to chapter. That loading point, which they did a really good job of hiding the loading point and stuff with that chapter transition. But everybody knew what it was. That's gone. There is now, this whole system of having to decide what kinds of services in the game for different kinds of areas you want to turn off and on to do you want the lights on and oxygen to be on? And what was the other one? Turn something else off to have to deal with different kinds of handicaps, but have other things utilized, or vice versa. Do you? It's just that's a whole different thing. You didn't really have the option to deal with a mechanic that wasn't in original Dead Space 1. And not only that, but they're giving you the ability to backtrack in the game, to retrace your steps and go back and search through the game of areas you've already been through and stuff. And like they said, they're making this it's been developed in a way that just because you've been through those areas already and you've already killed those enemies doesn't mean there won't be new enemies, and they won't be popping up in the same fashion that they did before. It's more of a procedurally generated kind of enemy situation, right? Mechanic, where these enemies will continue to just come from different locations and not be spawned at the same points in each location as you roll back through them if you want to backtrack and stuff. It's pretty neat, man. It's going to be a different experience, and it'll be the same game, but also very different. I'm very intrigued, and it looks great. Yeah. Taking it chill, Sack, yeah. Connor Bedard championship back on track. I didn't see the scores yet from last night, dude. I didn't really look at too much sports stuff last night. Yeah, did you guys have a rough game, dude? Yeah. And Gabs, what's up? Currently in the train, and this handsome boy is sitting 2 rows ahead of me. I'm melting. My stop is next. Okay, all right, Gabs. We'll see you later. I'm sure. Yeah. Yo, just give him your number. You know what I mean? Pokemon Sword and Shield to get their final updates in November. You've still got plenty of time to catch them all. We'll receive one final update on November 1st, after which the game will see no new content. Seems the Pokemon Company is moving on from Pokemon Sword and Shield, which makes sense because, yes, the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is coming on November 18th with a final update for the games planned to release on November 1st. Final updates, that is for Pokemon Sword and Shield, okay? The November 1st update will feature one final wild area news event, which previously took place once every month. The event will add Pokemon that aren't usually available, such as Gigantamax Snorlax. Oh, I love Snorlax, man. The Wild Area News event will run until the game servers are shut down, which could be a matter of years away, so there's no immediate rush if you're still looking to finish your Sword and Shield Pokedex. Following November 1st, the Battle Stadium will no longer update with the ranked season, so the results of the ranked battle season will not appear in Pokemon Home. Additionally, the game will see no more online competitions. It will still be possible to run friendly competitions, but they won't be displayed in Pokemon Home from December 1st on. Yeah. The game's YCOM features and other online modes will continue to function. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the latest mainline entry in the franchise, will release just over 2 weeks later on November 18th. We've been treated to quite a bit of information about the games already. Yes, we have. With the Pokemon Company releasing a 14-minute trailer, which we watched, showcasing a number of the game's mechanics and revealing a brand new evolution for Girafarig. For those who want to start planning out their teams ahead of the game's release, we also have a handy list of every Pokemon confirmed to appear in Scarlet and Violet so far. If you guys want that list, I'll link the article here for you, okay? Oh, word psych. All right, buddy. Yo, buy me some groceries too, okay? I like food. Psychonauts 2, the Mother Lobe Edition, releases today. Today, the critically acclaimed platformer released physical editions for the Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PS4. A few fun goodies come with the edition, including an outer sheet, reversible cover sheet, art cards, and die-cut stickers. Psychonauts 2, the Mother Lobe Edition, is priced at $70 US. Of course it is. God, I'm so tired. Like, you guys hear me bark about it enough. I don't know. The monetary obstacles to getting into the gaming, just getting into gaming for people that just want to experience this amazing world is getting absurd. Need to locate a Steam gift card. Usually the easiest way to do that is some local retailer or something like that. In my experience, anyways. And as of this writing is available across all major retailers. This release trailer and more details from today's announcement are below. I'll take a quick look.
My name is Raz, and today is my first day on the job. Today, we're on a mission.
Let's see what we got. Reveal!
Ooh, fancy. Surprisingly acceptable.
Fantastic! Well, get ready, because it's time for your next dish.
Man, this is a lot to take in, but I like it.
Whoa!
Glad you like them.
How about that? Was that you screaming?
Come on, Raz. It's showtime.
I'm ready for whatever might happen.
Welcome to the Mother Lobe.
You know, there's like So what I was getting at, you know, is this whole $70 thing as opposed to $60, which had been the norm for you know, day one release for games for so very long, and now we're seeing $70 is what all these developers are pushing for the day one release, and now we're even seeing games that have been out for 4+ years be ported over to new consoles or new platforms, and then they're going for $70 as well. And it's like, here's what I want to know: who's going to be the Arizona iced tea of the video gaming industry? You know what I mean? What I mean by that is, if you're not familiar with what Arizona iced tea is, let me just show you what this is. So these are beverages, right? And they make these like what are usually referred to as like tall boys. These giant wait, give you a heart attack? What do you mean, dude? What do you are you trying to give me a heart attack? What do you mean, dude? What did I do? What did I do? So the Arizona green teas or the Arizona iced teas, you know, these things have been these are giant cans of tea, and they've been $1. They have all different kinds. They started off with just like the green tea stuff, and they've got all different kinds of flavors and everything. But these have always been 99 cents, always, and they are still 99 cents. You know, and this is what it makes me think of. Like the owner of this company is like, we're not going to change. We are not. You know, all these other beverage companies and everything, they keep increasing their prices and stuff. Arizona iced tea is like, no, we're gonna stay at 99 cents, you know, and that's the way it's gonna be for us, you know. That is who we are. That's what we've always been. That's who we're gonna be, and it's about providing this this product to consumers and these people that love our product and maintaining that relationship with them, you know. So who in the gaming company is going to be our Arizona iced tea? You know what I mean? Who's that going to be for us? That goes, you know what? We don't need to do this. With everything else that goes on in the gaming industry, with how much money this industry is constantly trying to suck out of us as the consumer, from, you know, in-game transactions and DLC and things like that. Who's going to be the Arizona iced tea of the gaming industry and just quit and just stay at $60 and not now? Hello Games, dude. Hello Games, even though you know, even though No Man's Sky was a terrible, terrible release, that game has a ton of content that has been added to it. It has become a very, very, very good game, a very deep game, and you will never pay anything over. Right now, it's on sale on Steam, as a matter of fact, I think. It's on sale on Steam for $30. $30. And look at this. So there are developers out there. Yo, you wanna show me this? What's Steam? What's going on? Jeez, dude. You'll see there is no DLC. There's no DLC on this game, right? Every time they come out with content, it's just added to the game. It is just added. Anybody that owns the game, they get to it's part of it. You know. But this is a few and far between kind of scenario here. Most developers don't do this, and so I guess you could say that Hello Games could kind of be considered that one of those Arizona iced tea kind of developers for us right now. But there are not very many of them, man. It's just in too much gaming news could result in getting a heart attack. Wait, what? Why, dude? Why? Oh, bro, you gotta go to work. All right, man. I'm sorry you have to work today, dude. But I hope your day goes well, man. I appreciate you, buddy. Have a good day. Stay safe, man. I am 8-Bit and distribution partner Skybound Games, together with publisher Xbox Game Studios and developer Double Fine Productions, are psyched to announce the Motherlobe Edition. The physical release edition of the critically acclaimed psychedelic platformer Psychonauts 2 is now available for Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PS4 for $70 US. You need to read more about it down there here. There you go. There's no Disco Elysium 2 without its original writers. Yeah, look, I think anybody that understands what has happened here with this development studio, and we've talked about it multiple times over the past couple of weeks about what has come to light regarding the core of this studio and the individuals that were the core of this studio that specifically helped to develop Disco Elysium 1 are no longer a part of this studio. And apparently it was kind of an involuntary thing, right? So the big concern here is, I guess what sucks for us is I'm actually I have tentatively planned in the near future for Disco Elysium to be played in this channel. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this title, and I can't wait to dive into it. It'll be a very long playthrough, but it is supposed to be all encompassing an amazing experience, and I cannot wait. The with this news that has come out of ZAUM, I don't think that we can bet on another similar Disco Elysium experience being released. Does that mean that there won't be talented individuals still working on this series moving forward, and it will be decent to a good title? You know, quite possibly. But will it be the same? I do not think so. I don't think so. The gaming world received devastating news when it was revealed that key members of the ZAUM staff who developed Disco Elysium, including the game's lead writer, left the company involuntarily, effectively putting an end to the dream of a sequel, since there is no true Disco Elysium 2 without its original authors. Disco Elysium was a landmark for the gaming industry, and its success was entirely due to the strength of its writing. The game certainly had an evocative art style and competent tabletop RPG mechanics, which were novel in the way Disco Elysium paid homage to non-D&D RPGs. Still, pleasant-looking throwbacks are commonplace among indie games and are clever video game mechanics inspired by tabletop board game and RPG concepts. What made Disco Elysium truly rise above even the most acclaimed AAA games was its writing. Without that unique, authorial voice, there is no Disco Elysium, and the distinct identity of which ZAUM is gone nearly as soon as it was established. Relative to movies and television, storytelling in the video games medium is still in its infancy. Many games that have stood out for their storytelling, when critiqued with full candor, are not legitimately great stories, but good by the standards of a younger medium. Veteran hobbyists have seen video games transition from minimalist, arcade-style experiences where the story, if any, was relegated to a physical instruction manual to modern cinematic game presentations. With Disco Elysium, video games made a leap forward as an art form. Yes, Disco Elysium evolved from an a homebrew D&D campaign played by its creators to a masterful digital RPG. The game has more in common with a novel than a film, thanks largely to its roughly 1 million words of text. It's focused on human interaction rather than action and the mature storytelling it showcases. It actually is known for addressing a lot of very like morally and ethically troubling scenarios, and that it makes you kind of engage in and pick your way through, and it's that's one of the big notable things about it. Lead writer and designer Robert Kurvitz is one of those whose employment was terminated from ZAUM. Also wrote the novel Sacred and Terrible Air, which takes place in the Elysium setting. Kurvitz penned about half of Disco Elysium's 1 million words of text, and his loss alone would call the entire enterprise of a sequel into question. ZAUM editor Martin Luiga shared the tragic news that the involuntary departures from ZAUM, which took place as far back as late 2021, included Kurvitz, writer Helen Heinpier, and lead of art and design Alexander Rostov. Luiga has been less than explicit as to the rationale behind the terminations. Some opine that the Disco Elysium TV series being developed by Amazon could have been a point of contention. Others see it as a larger clash between ZAUM as a company that is pushing for profitability above all, clashing with the artistic convictions and anti-capitalist leanings of the game makers. Yeah, we read some stuff where part of this could have had to do with also leaning into this same kind of notion, was the fact that there was potential disdain and discord coming from the fact that the higher ups of the company were planning on implementing a lot of things moving forward, like season passes and a lot of this microtransaction kind of stuff, where the actual core of this team was like, that's not us, we don't want this, Disco Elysium demanded introspection, challenging player views on serious topics. Yeah, like I was talking about before. Luiga's statements, while far from specific, certainly support this view on the termination of key staff members from ZAUM. The company has opened a position for a sales and monetization specialist. The job description on ZAUM's website, including maximize and diversify revenue streams for full game add-on and live service content. This paints a bleak picture for ZAUM and shows that the company clearly missed the point of what made Disco Elysium so successful in the first place. Live service titles and games that attempt to eke out every bit of profitability through the sale of DLC and cosmetics are the unfortunate norm in modern gaming. Yeah, like I was just talking, we need more Arizona iced tea in the gaming world. Other plans announced by ZAUM include an Unreal Engine 5 outer space game from the Disco Elysium studio. Disco Elysium thrived on quality writing and simple, evocative graphics, not a science fiction spectacle using the latest Unreal Engine. ZAUM seems content with destroying a reputation built on the back of a single game and doing so as quickly as possible. Yep, those who played Disco Elysium could tell it was a different breed of game altogether. It was subversive, often painfully funny, able to capture the extremes of bleakest nihilism and undying hope in the human spirit. It's certainly intensely political. On a simpler level, it stood out as a single-player, closed-in product, devoid of microtransactions and in-game cycle. Like the titles Kurvitz called out as inspirations for the game, including Planescape Torment, Disco Elysium is a text-heavy throwback to the PC RPGs of the 1990s, but with far more mature writing and world building than any of its predecessors. Disco Elysium's rules can improve D&D campaigns, and fans have even discussed how the game improved their writing. Some began to question their own views on issues like economics, politics, addiction, and race, thanks to the game, which fearlessly tackled these topics with maturity and nuance. Because Disco Elysium is such a deeply personal game and so intrinsic... I can't speak, hold on. Intrinsically tied with its writing, it is impossible to separate it from the creators. The mystery in Ravical aimed to compel introspection in players and perhaps ideally social change as they organically connect with others who shared their experience. Nothing suggests fans would want a live service game set in Ravical, particularly as the game specifically lampooned the idea of MMOs in a side story. The fact that many distressed fans have found the best reaction to the news is to quote Disco Elysium's artistic adventure itself is another testament to the strength of its writing, as few other games contain the language to cope with their own demise. The flawless Disco Elysium, the final cut, added full voice acting, so players could hear the likes of Joyce Messier and other characters discussing the crushing power of capitalism, which absorbs and commoditizes even subversions against itself. Disco Elysium advances the medium of video games on the strength of its writing alone. Many AAA games push the boundaries of fidelity in their graphics, but Disco Elysium was far more immersive thanks to its writers' understanding of humanity. Games like Red Dead Redemption 2 have reaped undeserved praise for their stories, but when viewed through the standards of prestige television or cinema, they fail to measure up. Instead of aiming to feel like a movie, the ubiquitous trend for tentpole AAA games, Disco Elysium, and its newer Final Cut features played like a novel. The fact that more games have not followed in its footsteps and stepped up both the breadth and depth of their writing is a marked failure for the industry as a whole. Agreed. Disco Elysium inspired titles like Vampire the Masquerade, Heartless Lullaby are few and far between, and the focus largely remains on games that look and play well enough that players do not question whether or not they have anything meaningful to say. I've talked about this a lot. A great game is an all-encompassing experience that includes fantastic writing, amazing music, polished gameplay for sure, but I think for me especially, the graphical side of everything is the last thing I really care about. If all of those other things, all of those other pieces of art come together to form a really, really great experience, then I'm sold, right? I can get on board, whether it be something that looks like, a Gen 1 Pokemon game or something that looks like, a current, Unreal Engine 5 developed game that looks almost, real life, realistic. It doesn't matter. In between those 2 points, anything in between, as long as what has been done there with immersing me in a great experience in the storytelling, the writing's amazing, and the if it has voice acting, very, very good voice acting, and great musical composition. I think that, and again, the gameplay needs to feel good, right? Like whatever the gameplay has to offer you needs to be well developed and polished. I can get on board. And the graphical side, the art, the art that is used to present the visual experience to me is kind of the last thing I really care about. Some games have raised the question of whether video games can be art, but Disco Elysium blew past that to show artistic games can be important, acting as nodes for timely and critical cultural discourse. Novels date back hundreds of years, and films have more than a century of history. Gaming has only existed for a few decades, and Disco Elysium is easily one of the best games of any to date, thanks to the strength and maturity of its writing. Without the creative talent that let Disco Elysium advance video games as a legitimate storytelling medium, a ZAUM-produced sequel is left as a bitterly ironic cash-in on an opus that would have already been difficult to follow up under the best of circumstances. That feels so incredibly bad. This is a great article. A fantastic article. Thank you, Derek Garcia from Screen Rant. What an amazing article. Very well written. Speaking of great writing. I am no wordsmith. I have a sibling that is. I have a sibling that's a very good writer. I am not. But I appreciate art in all of its forms. And writing is one of those that... I am always in awe of people that can really express sentiments, express themselves very well through their writing. And this is a very well-written article that is absolutely true, in my opinion. Even though I have not played Disco Elysium yet, I do have plans to. I already own the game. I have anticipated playing this for a while. because of how renowned it is for all these concepts that we just read about in this article. You know, right? Good? Yeah. About that. So I actually don't write well either. I've got like Dr. Scratch. But I think that's if you're talking about writing, that's spelled different. So, right, that's like right instead of left. I don't know, dude. Was that you trolling on purpose? You know, spell good. What's up, Wick? So yeah, I mean, this feels bad. This feels bad. And, I mean, it's funny how often we bring up the issues of how money hungry and greedy these corporations are in the gaming industry, and how it destroys what gaming is supposed to be for people, and how rare it is anymore to be able to relate to a lot of these companies as a gamer. This is just another example. He said, yeah, whoops. What's up, dude? How the shop's coming along? No, you're good, bro. I actually thought you did it on purpose. Testing me. I thought you were testing me, dude. Valve has registered the trademark Neon Prime for use in game software. The United States Patent and Trademark Office lists 2 records for the Neon Prime trademark filed by the Half-Life firm in September. The goods and services section of one Neon Prime record lists the following: computer game software, electronic game software, video game software, computer game programs downloadable via the internet. I mean, I did, yeah, that's what I thought, dude. I got you, buddy. I got you, dude. The goods and services listed on the second record focus on video games, but are more broad-ranging, including the organization of gaming competitions and video game education. Commenting on the Neon Prime trademark, a Reset-era user who seemingly used to be a Valve employee said, wonder if this is finally the FTL-like shipbuilding game we were working on once upon a time, or if that got shelved. I guess time will tell. It's unclear if Neon Prime relates to a game or another type of product being in development at Valve, which owns digital distribution platform Steam, and also recently launched its handheld gaming PC Steam Deck. However, Valve co-founder and CEO Gabe Newell said last year that the company had multiple games in development and was keen to make more single-player experiences following Half-Life Alyx's release in March. Quote, we definitely have games in development. We read about this earlier in the year, or not too long ago, actually. We definitely have games in development that we're going to be announcing. It's fun to ship games, he told One News. Alyx was great. To be back doing single-player games, that created a lot of momentum inside of the company to do more of that. However, Newell refused to be drawn on the subject of new Half-Life and Portal games when questioned about potential sequels. Quote, I've successfully not spoken about those things for a long time, and I hope to continue to not talk about them until they are moot questions, he said. Then we'll move on to a new set of questions. The nice thing is, by not answering those questions, I avoid the community coming up with new, equally difficult to answer questions. Yeah, I mean, so Valve basically has said, there's been a big focus on Valve just being Steam and Valve just creating hardware as of recent, because the Steam Deck has become such a hit and it's a big success. And a lot of the focus for what people are inquiring to Valve is, what are you doing next for hardware? What are you doing next for the Steam Deck? And they've done a pretty good job on software. Portal games, the Half-Life games, stuff like that, And so people, I think, are kind of overlooking, or they were overlooking for a while, the fact that Valve actually produces software as well, produces games. And we saw a report here recently where they were being inquired as to, are you still going to be dedicated to making software? And it did seem like what they were quoted as saying was they have a lot of stuff still in the works. They're currently developing new games, and we should be seeing stuff before too long. Trademarks are taking like 3 to 5 months, really? Wild. I don't really have any kind of knowledge of. I mean, is that fast or is that slow? It seems slow, but I've never really dealt with that area, you know? It seems slow. But for all I know, I mean, trademarks could historically have taken longer than that. You know what I mean? Agreed, dude. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I don't know, but it sucks. Yeah, no doubt, dude. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So we're in the same boat there. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Cool. Overwatch 2 announces rewards for massive launch week. Overwatch 2 had an incredibly successful launch week, gathering tens of millions of players in the process. Overwatch 2 has been one of the most anticipated games on the horizon for quite a while. Although it's not as drastic of a leap as some other video game sequels, it still provides some changes the fans have been hoping for, including making the game free to play. The sequel will also continue to expand over time with a PvE mode expected to arrive sometime in 2023. A lot of players were ready to see what Blizzard was cooking up for the sequel and hopped in, only to be met with a pretty chaotic launch week. Yeah, a lot of DDoS attacks. If you're not familiar with what that stands for, it's distributed denial of service. Look it up. It's not super difficult to. Basically, Blizzard got flooded with a bunch of requests by bots and made it to where legitimate users weren't able to like get in and play the game. That's basically what that means. Also had controversial changes such as phone number being required to log in. Yep. Blizzard was still able to achieve some massive numbers despite the problems, courtesy of Overwatch 2 being free to play and just the general hype. It has been confirmed that the game roped in a whopping 25 million players during launch week. It's a pretty astonishing feat given all the negative press around the game, but the people who were able to get in had positive things to say about the actual game itself. As a thank you, anyone who logs into the game from October 25th to the end of the Season 1 will get a new Reaper skin and weapons charm. Additionally, there will be double XP weekends during the following days. So October 21st through the 24th, 28th through the 31st, and then November 24th through the 28th. Looks like Overwatch 2 seems to have ironed out some of its biggest issues. Thankfully, the game is now full steam ahead and will hopefully be able to deliver on the sequel fans really want. With Season 1 starting soon, fans will be able to see just how effective this new free-to-play structure is for Overwatch. If you need more info out of that article, here you go. Mine got filed yesterday. Now you got to wait. That sucks, dude. Yeah. League of Legends, well, hopefully, you know, I mean, 3 to 5 months, that's a pretty huge window as well. So hopefully it's on the short side of that, man. League of Legends reveals, this is the last article I have, guys. And then we're apparently going to go finish Scorn. I'm a bit tilted about that. We'll talk about it in a moment. But this is the last article I have for the day. If you guys have anything to add that I haven't covered, let me know, and we'll discuss it before we move on to Scorn Day 2, okay? League of Legends reveals a Cassante cinematic trailer. Following a teaser released by League of Legends, developer Riot Games yesterday, a new trailer has been released that fully reveals the popular free-to-play MOBA video game's latest champion, Cassante. Am I butchering that? The Pride of Nazuma. As we previously noted, Cassante has been teased before, but the new cinematic offers the best look yet at him and potentially teases some of his abilities. The cinematic, which you can check out for yourself embedded below, indicates that Cassante is a champion of his homeland Nazuma, which is part of Shurima, which would appear that he wields two beefy, blocky weapons that deal plenty of damage. While an exact rundown of his abilities has not been released as of yet, it'd be easy to imagine some of those in the cinematic as actual in-game maneuvers. Let's take a look. That is loud. Holy crap, dude. My bad.
This is the tale of a young hunter and his greatest battle.
Look like Wick running around in Lost Ark, dude. With that big sword, you know? Like, check out what I found. He's been driving around that Prius. That big sword sticking out the back of it.
Many times, when the archer urged the hunter to temper his skill with strategy. Unfortunately, the young hunter couldn't see that there is no monster greater than pride. And so, the archer moved on to other adventures, but he left behind one final gift. The hunter could finally see his monster. Arrogance. The archer had been right. His pride had torn them apart, but they finished the hunt together. And that is how the young hunter defeated his greatest monster.
That's monster abuse. Monster abuse. Character looks cool. Sante is also a notable addition to the video game, as it was previously announced that Lil Nas X and Riot Games co-designed a prestige skin for the upcoming champion. The Prestige Empyrean Cassante skin will release on November 3rd and can be unlocked through November 14th. Players can unlock the special skin by playing League of Legends or the Teamfight Tactics game mode during that time in order to gather Worlds 2022 tokens. In total, 2,000 Worlds 2022 tokens will be required in order to unlock the Prestige Empyrean Cassante skin. League of Legends is currently available on PC, and mobile version called League of Legends Wild Rift is also available. There you go, guys. That's the news. That's the news. That's weird. Oh, dude, good stretch. Good stretch. You guys rock. So we're gonna move on to some Scorn, and that's the plan. That's the plan. So thanks to everybody that is part of this community first and foremost, and thanks to everybody that was part of today's news segment as well. You guys rock. Happy Saturday. Hope that everybody's weekend is going well. And if you're viewing this content on YouTube, you're enjoying what we are doing here with the video gaming news. See what you can do about coming in and hanging out with us at 6 a.m. CST when we go live every single day. And we start all of our streams off with video gaming news, and then hang out with us maybe even afterwards as we move on and get into whatever video game play we have slated for the rest of the day, okay? Other than that, you guys just stay healthy, stay safe, be kind to one another, and we will catch everybody tomorrow for October 16th edition of Video Gaming News. All right?